signals in the body are proteins. Whether they're proteins or proteins, let me do it this way. Most of them are protein or polysaccharides or whatever, but chemistry, they're hydro what? Philic. Proteins are soluble, right, in water, most of them. So most of these signals are hydrophilic. For example, proteins. Some of these signals are not hydrophilic. They are, what's the opposite of hydrophilic? Hydrophobic. And almost all of the hydrophobic signal molecules are all derived from cholesterol, and cholesterol is a steroid. So our signals have different chemistries, yeah? Most of them are this. Most are here. Some here. Insulin's a protein. It's here. Testosterone's a steroid. It's here. Aldosterone's a steroid. It's here. Whatever. I mean, it just depends. Depends on what the signal is we're talking about. Okay? Now, this is going to have an effect on the kinds of responses we see, whether we're talking about a hydrophilic signal or a hydrophobic signal. And I'll just do it briefly like this, and then we'll come back to this again in more detail. Hydrophilic signals cannot enter a cell, right? Let's do it this way. Let's use the right words. They are penetrating or non-penetrating? Non-penetrating. Hydrophobic signals, on the other hand, are penetrating, or can be penetrating at least, right? Because of their chemistry, hydrophobic, they can pass through the cell membrane. Now, because of this, the receptor has to be in two different places, right? A receptor for this signal has to be where? Inside the cell or outside the cell? Outside the cell, right? So it's going to be on the cell surface. So these are going to be cell surface receptors. That is the only way that the cell will know that there is something out there if there's a receptor on the surface that it binds to. On the other hand, this one, would you expect the receptors to be on the cell surface or cytoplasmic? Cytoplasmic, right? Because the signal can get inside the cell, so why go to the effort to put the signal outside the cell? Just put it inside the cell. So these are going to be cytoplasmic receptors. And in fact, in this case right here, I'll do this one and then we'll talk about this other one over here. Most of these cytoplasmic receptors are actually inside the nucleus. So that means that a steroid hormone like testosterone diffuses into the cell and then even diffuses into the cell's nucleus, where it binds to a receptor in the cell's nucleus, and actually what it triggers is it triggers gene expression, right? This is going to turn on transcription and translation, or turn it off. So this is going to trigger gene expression, usually. This target cell will express different genes. That's the response, right? This is the response. And you see why it can be this is because that signal can go straight to the DNA. Turn on DNA expression, right? Turn on, central dogma, whatever. Get us something. This one can't, can it? This one's stuck on the outside. So for most signals in the body, they can't do this. Most signals have to do something else. Most responses have to involve something else. That's because of their chemistry. So typically what happens in this case here, what we're talking about right here, this is a signal molecule that binds to a membrane receptor protein. Now that should tell you what's the chemistry of this signal here. Hydrophobic or hydrophilic? Hydrophilic. Right. Does everybody get why that's important to denote, or how we figured that out? We figured that out because the receptor's on the surface of the cell. If this were hydrophobic, where's the receptor? Inside the cell. This is the way most signals work, because most signals are hydrophilic. So membrane binds to a membrane receptor protein, and that's going to activate some intracellular signal. That means what? You have a signal outside, which causes a signal inside.